well-wishers to also come around and mourn with them. They have some few days to the 1-week observation of Majua, which is very, very important event as they prepare for the final funeral rites of the slain lady.
Mira dampare and I'm any dinosaur. The Obecano and any womb. Nim say only ye ma baby I'm rather be a year dampare the bet so. Kutojogu form, mission and nim, so Bebwame, Bobe Martin, Sene, Ato baby, I was at to.
And the minim Nepa, said now, over me offer sitting in Anina, me who know how bad. Uhuna Dean Uhuna said Nabla body in the Citiana, the Oye and
So, this is the atmosphere here. A very sad moment for the family, but in the midst of the sadness, they believe that justice will be served on Majua. William Evans Inkum, TV3 News, Adum.
And we are told also that the suspect is expected to appear before court, or at least the processes to get him to face the full rigors of the law has commenced. William Evans Inkum is a reporter who's been tracking this particular story. He's joined us via Zoom for a quick update regarding that. William, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Right. What's the latest on Inspector Chumesi?
Well, so Inspector Chumesi has been transported to Kumasi. You know, the last time I told you that he is with a member of the Special Weapon and Tactics Unit attached to the Ashanti Regional Police Command. Now it's been divided to 3. So let me say Kumasi Region Command. So he's been brought back. We were actually kind of thinking around whether, the prosecution was going to be done in Mampong region. But because the crime, from what I'm gathering from some experts, because the crime was committed here in the Kumasi region, that is where prosecution will be done. So tomorrow, he is likely to face the Kumasi Magistrate Court, that is what I'm told, for committal proceedings to start. Then it will graduate from that particular level to the High Court. That is what I've been told actually by one prosecutor. So that is what we are waiting for tomorrow. But I can tell you that he is, even though he's in police custody, but under very heavy security.
Right. Do we know who Inspector Chumesi is beyond the fact that he's a police officer? What other information have we been able to glean about him?
Well, so in order not to subvert investigation, few things that we can share, for public consumption has to do with his demeanor. That he is a very calm person, according to people who are very close to him, very calm person. He doesn't talk much and all of that. And you wouldn't be surprised. His last, allegedly, conversation with a friend or a family member, I think that particular conversation has gone viral. Even though we as a company are unable to independently verify that piece of information. But if it is anything to go by, then you describe him as a man of few words. So that is the kind of person that, for now, we know him to be. Very cool, calm, doesn't speak much. But maybe investigation will unravel more than we know for maybe future consumption.
Okay. William Evans Inkum, thank you very much for that update from the Ashanti region on the death of the lady in the Ashanti region. Details of that on our website, and then also subsequently what will transpire in court will be brought to you. In other news this afternoon, more than 40 Ghanaian students stranded in war-torn Sudan have been moved to safety as Ghana's Foreign Affairs Ministry, in collaboration with the consular officers in Egypt, work to ensure the over 70 persons are evacuated. Fighting has been ongoing for the last 10 days between rival forces, with over 400 deaths recorded. In the last few hours, some of the students have arrived in Gadaref from the Sudanese capital Khartoum via bus, as the airports remain in a no-go area. We'll shortly get the latest on the evacuation process, but first, let's hear from the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister Kweku Amprechum Sapong, who told us yesterday about arrangements for the evacuation exercise.
Sudan offers scholarships to some Ghanaians, and we have about 73 Ghanaian students in Sudan undertaking university studies, especially in Khartoum, and the other one is the second biggest city in Sudan. A majority of them are in the petrochemical industry as well. So we decided that we will evacuate. Now, the unfortunate situation is we don't have a permanent mission in Sudan. So we have what we call an honorary consul. We have appointed a Sudanese citizen, a respectable Sudanese citizen, to look after Ghana's affairs in Sudan. What we also normally do is in all countries where we have a sizable number of Ghanaian students, we encourage them to form a students' union. So we do have NUCs in all these countries. So the leadership, in association with the honorary consul, started the process. So we have so far accounted for all the Ghanaian students, 73. Nobody has been harmed. And we have all of them safe in a place. Then the next batch of Ghanaians are 3 Ghanaian footballers in Sudan. We've also accounted for them. So we put all of them together, and the plan is to evacuate them. We have the names, the contact, and everybody, all of them, congregated at a safe place for now, ready for us to move them. The nearest country that we can move them to is Ethiopia. So we are going to move them to the Ethiopian border.
All right, so those are the arrangements put in place by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and also Ghana's mission in Egypt. Let's find out exactly how all of this can play out, and in the midst of all these events, what exactly the safety strategy should be. At our last check, over 40 of the students have been moved via bus to Gadaref, which is close to the Ethiopian border. A good number of these are female, at least 27 others, mostly male. They are currently preparing to leave Gadaref as well. The first batch moved at around 3 p.m. Sudanese time and arrived at 10 p.m. We're told that it's quite a long journey via road. And of course, as we know, the airports have become a no-go area since it has also been taken over by the warring faction. Students' leaders have been working overtime amidst poor phone connectivity and data services to coordinate the movement of their colleagues. Late last week, some Nigerian students who were stranded in the war-torn country called on their government to evacuate them from the area. Countries like the United States, the United Kingdom have already evacuated their diplomats and as of only Sunday made arrangements for the movement of other officials from the city. We know, according to the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister, that the Gadaref area, they can be onwardly evacuated to Ghana, of course, at the discretion of the students, because according to the ministry, there are some who may request to go to other countries other than return to Ghana. Let's interrogate this conversation or extend it a while longer. Joining us via Zoom now is international relations analyst Michael Nketia. Mr. Nketia, good afternoon. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me on your show.
I mean, across the continent, sometimes there are these kinds of reports, but from the international foreign relations perspective, how would you advise that we approach this? We are not directly part of the war, but then we have citizens there that we need to extract. What would you say the approach should be?
Well, the first approach that I believe the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and, in a larger extent, the government of Ghana should do is to liaise with the other regional blocks of bodies in the south, in that part of Africa. And by liaising with them, they can talk to both factions Currently, there are two factions to the dispute in Sudan. The commander of the Sudanese forces, his troops are battling an insurgency of the RSP being led by another commander, and there are ethnic undertones to it. So we have to set some form of backdoor channels or engagements with the command of both factions of the war. And by engaging these two units, there can be a ceasefire, either for 3 days, for 24 hours, for 48 hours, or even for a week. Not just for Ghana, but for other West African countries and citizens of other African countries to be evacuated from Sudan. The issue before us is a very, very serious one, because we are talking about a conflict where both factions are determined to win at all costs. And by so doing, it comes with a lot of risk if any government wants to evacuate its citizens amidst line of ammunition and intense warfare. What we have to do is through other sub-regional bodies and other regional bodies on the African continent, negotiate with the warring factions, the leadership of both factions of the conflict, arrange for a ceasefire either for 2 days, 3 days, or a week. And in the midst of that ceasefire, when there is a suitable and safe, conducive environment for the evacuation of people, we can use that window of opportunity to evacuate Ghanaian citizens in Sudan.
Okay. I mean, maybe a slight digression on this. You mentioned regional blocs or authorities like the ECOWAS and the African Union, who some are saying saw this building up, and now we have such a situation on our hands. Different countries have been affected. Could this have been prevented from the international relations perspective? Could this war have been, halted even before it started?
Well, the reality of the matter is that in international relations and in the international political arena, analysts are able to predict what is going to happen, but it is very difficult for actual policymakers to initiate steps to prevent some of these unfortunate instances. Let me cite you one example. For months, American intelligence predicted that Russia was going to invade Ukraine. In fact, America made a lot of interventions. They engaged China to speak to Russia through the European Union and other blocs. They made several forms of appeal to Vladimir Putin to stop the invasion of Ukraine. He denied that Russia was not going to invade Ukraine, but eventually they did so. So the reality is that it is easy to predict these outcomes based on previous happenings and based on actual intelligence that may be picked by intelligence officials on the grounds. But actually instituting diplomatic measures to prevent things from happening becomes the real deal, because in the international arena, either states or non-state actors, and in these instances, it is becoming very difficult to negotiate with them, because the RSP is a non-state actor. These are a group of rebel soldiers, people with arms, based on ethnic affiliations and allegiances, who wants to overthrow an overly illegitimate government in the first place, which is also a military regime. So it becomes very difficult to prevent some of these instances, although the outcome could have been was predicted earlier. So I may not necessarily blame the African Union or other regional blocs on the continent based on the peculiar nature and the type of conflicts that we are having in Sudan.
Okay, and finally, we've seen the different approach being used, especially the U.S. government, the UK, France. They've used their military to extract the diplomats first, and then we are told that there are plans to get the citizens out as well. In the Ghanaian context, is there a possibility we could also ask our military to, maybe go there and find a strategy of getting them out? And while at that, what have you picked up in terms of the interventions being made by the African Union, for instance?
I believe strongly that it may not be prudent on our behalf to send military troops to Sudan. You see, in international relations, we have what we call the carrots and the sticks. The sticks is the use of brutal force when all forms of diplomacy, persuasion, negotiations, and engagements have failed. The first option in dealing with matters of this nature is first to approach the carrots, engage the warring factions, engage the feuding factions, engage both parties for a ceasefire. and already an initial ceasefire was set in the first week of the conflict for about a day or two. And I believe there is a larger window of opportunity for the government of Ghana to engage both factions with.
Unfortunately, we seem to have lost the connection to our resource person there, but we're just having a general conversation about attempts to extract Ghanaian citizens who are caught up in the Sudanese war, which is currently in the 10th day and still counting. A number of ceasefires for people to pass on to safety to other neighboring countries hasn't held, and we are told that as it stands now, almost 70 Ghanaians who are there, more than half of them have been moved to safe grounds and will be crossing into Egypt, where they will eventually be brought back home to Ghana. Definitely a conversation that's still unfolding. We'll see how it plays out in the coming days, and we'll also be updating you. Our website, 3news.com, has details from what the Foreign Ministry has said and what they intend to do regarding this very particular subject. This is still Midday Live on TV3, the holiday edition. We move on to some other stories now. Let's bring you the latest leg of the running battle between former Environment Minister Professor Frimpong Boateng and some government officials who have also sought to deny the allegations or accusations that Professor Frimpong Boateng has put out.
It is a report that's turned heads. Not as if the content are surprising, only the sheer scale of the revelations and the traces of government complicity that's got many on edge. The names from former members of parliament, ministers of state, NPP functionaries to other businessmen have left many wondering if there ever was a fight against Galamsey in the first place. Former Secretary of the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Bisu, has jumped to the defense of cabinet ministers on the committee.
Because if you have 10 cabinet ministers on or in a committee working with you, I don't think they will just leave the mandate to one person. He knows that there are a lot of things that I know, that maybe he was trying to run the show unilaterally and then leaving the rest. Hence, not informing the rest about the things that he's doing. But I do not think that the other ministers left the committee to him. I can mention as the secretary, I can mention each and every minister's contribution towards dealing with the problem. Dan Butchie, Kofi Jamesi, who traveled around the whole country with me, Cecilia Dapa, because at a point you realize that Water Resources Commission that works under the Ministry of Water and Sanitation came out with a report that the stability levels of the water bodies were good. In Ankobra, the waters were clean. So every minister was doing what they were supposed to do. Dominic Nitu, Ambrose Derry, Operation Vanguard were doing their jobs.
He says during his time as secretary of a committee, he received open threats of harm and death by persons connected to illegal mining.
I'm not privy to what the discussion he had with Gabi and Dieter Kutego and the rest, but the discussion with Kweku Baako, yes, I'm privy to that. Because Prof called me as the secretary and said that Kweku Baako has called to attack him, that every time that he goes to cabinet, he tends to actually attack CNG Alaska and Heritage Imperial, the company, which the general manager was then Donald Ntia. With CNG Alaska, as I mentioned earlier, I was Prof told me about the meeting with them. Donald Ntia, I remember I was in South Africa in 2019, around February, and somebody came to me and told me that Donald said I have been disturbing their company and that they are going to deal with me.
While some of the named persons have sworn not to be involved in the illegality, there are others who have simply remained silent. But not NPP stalwart, cousin of a president and lawyer, Gabi Asare Otredako.
It even tells you how weak the minister's understanding of his position is. If what I did was illegitimate, why don't you take the right action? That he reported me to the president. For the president to do what? I mean, what kind of silliness is this?
Gabi, according to Professor Frimpong Boateng's report, interfered with the work of an interministerial committee when he represented some companies engaged in illegal mining. Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah last week also denied plotting with journalists to malign the heart surgeon who was at the helm of a fight against Galamsey. He maintained he only did his work by reporting issues making headlines in the news to cabinet without aiming at discrediting the former environment minister. But in a fresh response, Professor Frimpong Boateng noted very few people in Kojo Nkrumah's position will own up to their wrongdoings. Political power, he says, is short-lived, and Kojo Nkrumah must know he may no longer be in government and may experience the real world as former high-profile political power holders do. He further noted Kojo Nkrumah should work diligently and avoid coded and evil tactics. Professor Frimpong Boateng, in his latest response to the Information Minister, noted that Chinese and Ghanaian collaborators are engaged in illegal mining at the doorstep of an Information Minister and going ahead to encourage him to investigate and take action appropriately. This reaction comes on the heels of an earlier response to Gabi Asare-Otchere-Darko. In that writer, Professor Boateng noted Gabi demonstrated industrial-scale ignorance of Ghana's mining laws. The minister reveals the companies Gabi Asare-Otchere-Darko represents, that C&J Alaska and Heritage Imperial Mining, have long been engaged in illegal mining and should have been prosecuted by now. In a series of documents attached to his response, Professor Frimpong Boateng produced letters and notices from the Minerals Commission, the Lands Ministry and the task force, which showed the regulators warning the companies to cease their illegalities. It has so far been a war of words. A former MP for Manson Kwanta, Joseph Albert Kwam, has also denied owning Galamsey concessions in his constituency.
It is a blatant lie.
You don't own a concession?
I don't have even a single concession. Throughout my life, so why this report? What I'm going to do is, I will let my lawyers write to him to retract and apologize. Other than that, we will go to court.
While the people cited in the report have been falling over each other seeking to clear their name, many watchers say it is time for the special prosecutor to get to work and probe the 2021 report.
I'm wondering why the chief of staff and the presidency has not called any of the individuals mentioned in this report to hear their sides of the story and open an investigation. This is something that should have been referred to the special prosecutor by now. When the president spoke and said, I put my presidency on the line, if the president really meant it, the president would have resigned by now.
All right, so certainly it's a conversation that has developed many arms and legs, and we're trying and make sense of it for you and with you. Joining me for this conversation now is Professor Bafo Agyeman-Duah, who is a governance expert, former UN governance advisor. He's joined us via Zoom. And then also we have anti-corruption campaigner Edem Senanu, who has also been following this conversation very keenly, specifically the bit about whether or not the corruption or issues regarding conflict of interest comes up in here. Good afternoon, gentlemen, and thank you for joining us. And I'm going to start with you, Prof. From where you said, I mean, the President of the Republic, his mantra was he was putting his presidency on the line to ensure that the issues of Galamsey are dealt with. With this latest report, shouldn't we have heard from him by now, first or second week into this conversation?
Well, thank you. And first of all, I think an official statement has been issued from the presidency, and I want to believe that that is his response, at least for now. But I do agree that an issue of this magnitude should have the president or a very senior person responding or telling the public what exactly the matter is. It's also important to remember that this is not a new report. At this time, it was written back in 2021. Professor Boateng is no longer in government. And if you follow the back and forth, I think it's tragic for the party. Certainly, first, let me add, there are serious cases of corruption unethical behavior all across board. Of course, at this point, everybody seems to be denying culpability. Those who we mentioned in the report are denying it was played and all. But of course, they have a right to do that. But I think, first of all, the damage that this is doing to the party should alert the party elders to find a way to bring this under some kind of control. I think the back and forth between these individuals mentioned and it's not the best in the world. That's why if we are referring the case to the public prosecutor, it should be done quickly so that we can have a legal way of dealing with this matter. See, everybody is interested in the matter because Galamsey, as we know, is playing a very prominent role in the destruction of our environment. Not only that, it entails all kinds of illegality. Those who are licensed, those who are not licensed. The fact that some people have Chinese as leading them, need the report by the professor is something we can take into account. Then, of course, even there's a more damning verdict on the former head. So the details, and I think the earlier the government matter to the public prosecutor, maybe the better for the government so that we can put a stop to this matter. It's damaging to the government, it's very damaging to our the credibility of the individuals involved. The better we serve in the court of law.
Okay. Right, that actually then links to Adam Senanu's field, which has to do with anti-corruption. Mr. Senanu, thank you once again. Picking up from where Prof left off, he's talking about the fact that the special prosecutor should be involved by now. But from the genesis of all of this, the accusations and counter-accusations, the denials and rebuttals, do you see any conflict of interest concerns here? And are there the likelihood of corruption allegations, in this entire episode that we are witnessing?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we can start with corruption itself. And perhaps let me preamble it by saying that I like the fatherly advice given to our Minister for Information, and I like the evidence-based approach that he uses in terms of dealing with Gabi's issues. And listening to the feedback so far, they have focused on personality rather than focus on dealing with the facts that he has adduced and trying to provide, counter information that gives us a sense that this may not be real. And by the way, a person in the like Professor Frimpong Boateng would not put himself out there for this kind of thing, not anticipating this kind of pushback. So I think we should take this very seriously. There are issues of corruption, clearly spelled out there, that persons politically exposed in positions have, as it were, taken advantage of that to influence the system and to illegally acquire and take actions that damage our environment in a way that cannot be resolved very easily. I think that there's clear corruption here, even beyond the conflict of interest. And I don't think that the special prosecutor actually needs to be asked. I think the special prosecutor can take an interest in this issue without a formal complaint being lodged. And to that extent, the real issue would be, does the special prosecutor have the logistics, the resourcing to be able to do this? Because anytime something comes up of this nature, we tend to ask, is the special prosecutor going to act on this issue? But clearly, a few weeks ago, I was in the World Bank office and a lady asked me, Eden, where are the men? All those people who know what is going on and they're not speaking. Where are our elderly men? Where are the seniors? Where are the, I salute Professor Frimpong Boateng for taking this stand. And he should not stop writing back to clarify issues as long as they want to pretend they don't know and they will not deal with the facts. Let's deal with the facts and find out who is culpable and make sure that they face the full rigors of our laws.
Does this not in itself question the commitment in the first place from both the government, the president, who said that, look, he's all bent to ensure that this comes to a finality or a halt? What are your thoughts on how we have come so far? Have we even made any success or any progress at all regarding fighting corruption when it comes to Galamsey and winning in any way?
Well, yes. I mean, there's every reason to say the way things have rolled out, one begins to wonder whether we're ever serious in our commitment to this fight against illegal small-scale mining and what have you. And I think that the calls by different stakeholders that the presidency, we should be hearing some robust response, some, as it were, referral of this issue for proper investigation should be happening by now. And so, I mean, we would call on our president once again that, look, you still have a year and a half to go. There's opportunity to turn this thing around. We have somebody who stood up and he could not have taken this decision lightly. Let's see the presidency responding to this in a way where anyone who's been involved in this is not being shielded. They are not going to be, as we're protected. Let the laws of this land take its place. And let's see a robust response from leadership at this point.
Right. Thank you very much, Edem Senano. On that point, he's an anti-corruption crusader. And on his last bit, though, let me bring in Prof. Prof, Edem Senano, for instance, is saying that some concrete action or step needs to be taken if we are serious about fighting corruption. From what you say, what is it that, if you see or read from the government, would give you clear indication that, yes, now we have taken this thing more seriously?
I think that suggesting that we go to the public prosecutor is an excellent one, because that officer has the mandate to probe into cases of corruption, as my good friend Senano just pointed out. So it's very important for government to be forthcoming and making a decisive pronouncement on this particular case, because mind you, the characters involved are not ordinary people. Professor Frimpong Boateng is a very distinguished individual. In a way, I feel sorry that he's found himself in this, because a well-renowned medical officer has surgery. Maybe this wasn't his field to go. And once he was placed in charge of this, I think there were landmines all around him, and somehow, unfortunately, been caught in this. But I have no reason to doubt what Professor Frimpong Boateng is saying. A man of high integrity like him will not issue a report that he didn't believe in. So from my perspective, there's a real credibility to the report. And that's why it's very important for government to immediately pick it up and do the needful. And the needful is to get the public prosecutor to take it up and investigate. That's why I'm not particularly happy with this public back and forth between the distinguished professor and others who have been mentioned in the report. I think until the government picks it up and we get an investigation into this matter, there's nothing going to be satisfying to people, especially given the high public suspicions about public officials getting involved in Galamsey. This is not a new thing. We know. In fact, there was a time the government itself is appealing to chiefs and other people to help fight it. Now, if you are lucky to have a very honorable person like the professor to make some pronouncement through his report, I think it's a more serious case that the government should pick up. Okay. Professor Bafo Agyeman-Duah, thank you very much for your time as well. We had these two gentlemen help us have a conversation on the concerns of Galamsey, its impact on all of us. And many of you have also been sharing your thoughts on social media, reacting to the report from Professor Frimpong Boateng and the back and forth from other government officials regarding whether or not they have been directly involved. And these are some of the comments. Dominic Eagle Nyako says, these people made the venerable professor say that party Hiensika, they put him at the top and did the evil behind him. Bernard Layo Ofoli says the bleeding Ghana, when people are in position, they are above the law. Frimpong Boateng, how far with the missing excavators, by the way? In his report, he talked about the excavators. You can get details of what exactly he said about those 500 excavators that got missing under his watch. Dominic Nyako says, in summary of Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng's report, if Galamsey was being done by ordinary people, it would have ended long ago. And so those are some of the reports that many of you have been putting across, or reactions you've been sharing about this unfortunate development, which affects you and my very self here, about our water bodies, our forest reserves being decimated. You're still watching Midday Live. Stay with us. We have other big stories for you right after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint as compared to other paint brands on the market. We take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, 1 bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Open your eyes. People fall and they rise. Make you no worry about the things you know we change. The things you know we do today. You go do them tomorrow.
Wow, this girl's got talent. You too can change your world. And it's affordable with Airtel Tigo data bundles.
Bring your dreams to life with the best data bundles only on Airtel Tigo. Dial *111# now.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chese na me ankasa me period na se problem su wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chese na nya asem ketewa na me coin point no mo hwe me mogam no mo hwe bibia na so mo meduro me fire no ene ma won kra me enu foforo kwa na mkwan mu a eba and everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko end point o mama nuru a ene ne ho eden a watimi asori anante.
That's end point for you.
Of Acrobato.
Hello.
Hey, ohwehwe what che?
Okay.
A free bra wo di end point wa dance. Me ko ye no. Me Jones sema na enkoyie e person na maye mre nyina na magina sabema na me be fie for there e ho na nyina jaresa.
You heard everything. I have secret. M-Punch is my secret. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. I'm free.
Zest Consult is the best place for your IELTS, SAT, and GRE tuition. The IELTS facilitates study, work, and live abroad. The SAT and GRE facilitate study abroad on scholarships. Zest Consult has an amazing track record of training around 4,000 students, nurses, midwives, and many others who have excelled in these examinations and realized their study and work abroad dreams. Contact us if you really want to study on scholarship. Zest Consult also provides real estate, automobile, and IT solution services. We can help you buy or sell lands and buildings and rent office spaces or accommodation. We can also help you obtain a car loan or buy or sell a car. If your institution needs a stunning website and amazing software, then contact us. You can call or WhatsApp us on 0355 631 633 or 050 909 2330. You can locate us at Kumasi Cultural Center and the Chamsume 5 inside Willas Towers. Zest Consult, excellence is our hallmark.
I hit my wife and she fainted, and since that day I met my rock bottom. So that was when I realized that I may end up in a prison.
It is the infamous white powder, dreaded by law enforcement, loved by its users.
I wasn't getting high from the marijuana anymore, so a friend of mine introduced me to crack cocaine and heroin.
For many, though, it is a nightmare.
It's the first thing I see.
There is a rise in abuse.
The abuse of cocaine has risen so much as compared to the early 90s.
So it is very dangerous. And with it, an increase in the deaths of addicts.
People died and we don't know where they come from.
Experts say the use and abuse of cocaine is increasing in Ghana. So what does this mean for the next generation? Godwin Asedeba meets those using it, those ravaged by it, those attempting to recover from it.
Oh, divine master, grant that I may not so much slay,
and those working to ensure that cocaine does not destroy an entire generation.
Married to Cocaine airs on Wednesday, April 26 on TV3, TV3 Ghana across social media and 3news.com.
Welcome back to Midday Live on TV3 special holiday edition, and we are still in the Eid festivity. So prices of live birds for this year's Eid celebration have almost doubled, making it difficult for traders to sell. High cost of feed have also largely contributed to the increment in the prices. George Quening was at the Nima market to assess patronage ahead of the celebrations.
In Accra, which is Nima. This is actually the Nima market. It looks a bit deserted, even though it's Eid al-Fitr celebrations. And one common practice during these festive occasions are bird sales. So all these birds cages that you see here are temporary businesses. So maybe after tomorrow, all these traders would have to move with their structures and the birds. Most of these traders come here due to proximity to the Muslim community. And there have been complaints here and there. The fact that prices of these birds have almost doubled compared to the prices of last year. But let's see what other challenges these traders are facing.
The farmers, if they can reduce the price for us, so the people, they can able to buy. And then the price is too high, and that is why this time we are still here. But olden days, by this time, we are already finished.
So what time do you plan to leave this place?
Oh, normally we are planning up to Saturday. If God permits us, I think we will almost leave here.
Mr. Abdullah, one old lady was complaining that last time when she came, she bought the fowl for like 80 cedis. Now people are selling it for 150.
Yeah, because of the feed. The feed is expensive. Corn now is 9 million. But last year is 400 Ghana. But now is 900 Ghana. The concentrate from the one we mix with the corn. That one last year is 3.2. Now it's 6.5. It depends on the. That's why the prices are high.
Would you rather come here and sell at this high price and nobody will buy, and then you go home like that?
Oh, they buy it. People used to buy it, but sometimes we consider them because there is no money in the system. The system is hard, so sometimes I beg. Then we consider them. Oh, bring 80 or bring 1.2.
The bird, it costs too much high, because. The way that first you buy them 80 Ghana. So now they say my account my money where I hold right now be 1 million. You know rich. So I don't.
How much is selling it?
Now right now they say 1.5.
Wow. But it's very heavy.
It's heavy, but you know rich the first one self. The first one way next salary can pass where you buy, you know rich am.
So you know.
All right, so that's what's happening at Nima here in the Greater Accra region. Let's find out what the situation is in the Ashanti region, where Ibrahim Abubakar has joined us. Ibrahim, good afternoon. Happy Eid holidays to you.
Thank you, Martin.
I know, for instance, yesterday and the previous day, you also gauged the mood of how prices were in terms of how people could buy and, enjoy these festivities. What exactly is happening today in the Ashanti region regarding the Eid festivities?
Well, Martin, before I come today, the situation is not different from what George reported from Nima. So this year, what many people have adopted to do is, they say they have a modest way of celebrating the Eid because people don't have enough cash on them. They wouldn't say they will be left out of the celebration at all, but they will have to at least try and find a way of celebrating. This morning or this afternoon, I'm currently at the Rattray Park. So for parents, they are complaining they don't have enough for them, on them. But for kids, they don't really care. They see their parents as rich people. So whatever their parents will have to do to make them enjoy the Eid festivity, they have to do. And parents are also trying to do their best. So this afternoon, a lot more of the parents have brought their children here to at least enjoy the Eid festivity, come here, have a play grounds to enjoy their activities. But briefly, I will also engage with some of the parents and find out why they decided to come here, because most of them were complaining of not having enough cash to come here and also enjoy the Eid festivity. Good afternoon. You are live.
Afternoon, sir.
This morning or this afternoon, I've seen that you've come here with 4 of your kids.
Yeah. This is the Muslims festival for the Ramadan. And when it gets a time like this, you know, actually Ghana is hard. The economic is very hard. But students doesn't know that. You have to let them also enjoy, and you encourage the children so that they will know that they have parents. So when they also come like this, they will release their enjoyment. And when they enjoy like this, they also remember that they get father. They get father. So, but if you think that you don't have money, the children doesn't know that. You have to let them enjoy. So we always close our eyes and we thank the Almighty Allah that this Ramadan we have the peaceful mind and the comfortability and the condition that we are all here to celebrate with our children. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. You may also want to ma behind.
Salad in Tina, yesterday, money, PSA, Baya, or money by Jake. Tina, do my buy a dome of bands, a high come out, Mudia, grow. I grow hold baby, or Hanma, or Mudia, say, almost so many by Jake. Don't for months and every year.
Okay, so Martin, what I've observed is that the strategy many have taken is because they don't have enough cash on them, like I said, they wouldn't come here and buy food. So most of them prepared their food at home and brought it at the playground. So you see them in groups with their kids, with their family, all trying to enjoy the Eid festivity. In fact, apart from Rattray Park, I would say the Kumasi Zoo Park and also the Cultural Center, these are the places you find most of the kids enjoying. But if you take out the kids, for the parents, most of them are doing what they call in-house celebration. Initially, you find a number of parents or family going out, family get together, enjoying the Eid festivity. But you know, without cash, you cannot move the entire family out. But for the kids, they have to manage, sacrifice the little that they have saved to bring the kids here so that they will enjoy this Eid festivity.
Ibrahim, thank you so much. Do enjoy it yourself, as we see that you're also well dressed up for the event. Ibrahim Abubakar, Ashanti Regional Correspondent, with that update about how people are, enjoying the holiday. How are you also playing out today in your various homes or wherever you are? Let us know. We'll be happy to let the rest of the world know about it. Time now for sports. Rekwampo for Alhaji will give you those in a jiffy.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the sports segment here on Midday Live. Well, Kumasi Asante Kotoko would be in jubilant mood during the holidays because they've managed to close the gap at the top of the Ghana Premier League to just 5 points after beating Aduana FC by 2-1 yesterday. Let's hear from the head coaches of both sides, starting with Abdul Gazelle of Asante Kotoko.
I would say that the players have reacted very quickly because we started slowly. Technically, we were doing everything right, but unfortunately, individually, Augustine was not able to defend Jemfi well. So we considered an early goal, and the players, they were able to come back quickly, and then we equalized the goal. In fact, they have done whatever thing that we have asked them to do at the training grounds. Even though we made some small mistakes that we have to go back and correct. But what we needed was the 3 maximum points, and we had it.
Yes, I am. I thought we could have killed this game. I mean, we should have won by a lot of goals, but no, we missed them all. And then this association football, when you get the opponent and you don't kill him, he gets you, and then he punishes you for that.
Let's now head to Europe, where after beating Brighton on penalties, Manchester United boss Erik ten Hag believes of the FA Cup.
I understand, of course, the feelings from the Man United fans about it. And we will do everything to give them that, to give them the second trophy. Everything what I have, everything what the team had, what the staff have, we will do and give everything to get that done. And yeah, we can do it because we prove it. But yeah, it's not easy job. It's a great team, but we also have a great team and great players, and we can beat.
Let's now do some NBA, where after clinching a win in Game 3, the defending NBA champions as the Golden State Warriors leveled the series against the Sacramento Kings after beating them 126-125 at the Chase Center. With the series tied at 2-2, the Warriors would be looking to take the lead in Game 5 on Wednesday. In other games, 2022 NBA finalists Boston Celtics have taken a 3-1 series lead over the Hawks after recording a 129-121 victory. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown came up big, scoring 31 points apiece, and the 17-time NBA champions need one more victory to advance to the next round. Also, the Minnesota Timberwolves gave themselves a fighting chance in the first round after beating Western Conference first seed Denver Nuggets. Denver lead the series 3-1. Well, that's how we wrap up the sports here on Midday Live. My name is Ori Kwampofo. Do enjoy your holidays. Up next on the bulletin is entertainment. In entertainment news this afternoon, Ghanaian reggae dancehall artist Mustafa Rahman, known in showbiz as Rude Boy Rankin, is reported dead. The musician passed away in the early hours of Monday, April 24, 2023, at the Ridge Hospital in Accra, where he was being treated. Close sources say Rankin had been battling an illness for a while, but the nature of his illness is still unknown. His unfortunate death comes as a shock to his followers and all those who valued his music. While no official communication from the family has been made, stakeholders of the music industry are grieving, with many sharing photographs of the musician.
Independence say we are than them. Independence say we looking fresh and better than them. Whoa, better than them. Independence say we flying.
May his soul rest in peace. Away from that, in other entertainment news, Marvin boss Michael Ayere, popularly known as Don Jazzy, has opened up on the most disappointing act in his career. In an interview with former Big Brother Naija contestant Don Jazzy, disclosed that his biggest regret was being caught on camera smoking.
Acts that you've done at any point in your career that you feel like you've disappointed the people that are looking up to you as your role model?
I remember the first time that people saw that I used to smoke. Jesus.
You smoke?
I used to smoke cigarettes.
Okay.
I felt with long time ago. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't think it was that. I didn't think it was that. I didn't think it was anything bad. Nothing like that. Okay, I'm happy myself. Right. Or whatever. But that day I think it was access maybe concert something. The endurance, they were videoing me. I was trying to adjust my eyeglass. As I adjust the eyeglass like this, my cigar just showed. my timeline was agog. Oh my God, he smokes. He just looks like as if he just caught Jesus Christ watching porn. I said that be.
What type of example is that?
I said that I felt.
All right, just before we go on the international front, we do know that some of the European countries and the Americas are evacuating their citizens who've been caught up in Sudan following the 10th day of continuous shelling and bombing in that country.
A growing list of countries have evacuated diplomats and citizens from Sudan's capital as fierce fighting continues to rage in Khartoum. The US and UK announced on Sunday they had flown diplomats out of the country. France, Germany, Italy and Spain have also been evacuating diplomats and other nationals. A vicious power struggle between the regular army and a powerful paramilitary force has led to violence across Sudan for more than a week. US authorities said they had airlifted fewer than 100 people with 3 Chinook helicopters on Sunday morning in a fast and clean operation. The US embassy in Khartoum is now closed, and a tweet on its official feed says it is not safe enough for the government to evacuate private US citizens. The US government managed to airlift British diplomats and their families out of the country in what has been described as a complex and rapid operation. Foreign Minister James Cleverly said options to evacuate the remaining British nationals in Sudan were severely limited.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you very much for watching. If you go to our website, 3news.com, you get updates of all the stories we discussed this afternoon and many more. You have a good afternoon. As always, stay positive. I am Martin Esiedudate. Enjoy your holiday.